a beautiful day and you're making your way down to your mailbox and you see that you've got some mail. Everybody loves getting mail. But when you open the mailbox, you see this. It's a certified letter from the Superior Court of Arizona. That's not the mail that you were looking for. You open it up and see that you've got a summons. You're summoned to appear for a felony case in Arizona. My name's Ryan with the R&R Law Group, and today we're talking about the process that your case goes through in a felony case in Maricopa County. In Maricopa County, or the state of Arizona really, a case can be brought against you in one of two ways. One is through a preliminary hearing. Oftentimes that happens right after an arrest, or you get a summons, and then you're going to have your initial appearance. That's the very first court date in which you enter a not guilty plea, and then you move to the next level. It's either going to be a status conference or a non-witness preliminary hearing. Again, it depends upon which court you're in. This all takes place in an early disposition court, whether that's in the Mesa facility or it's the downtown facility. All of these courts are designed to move you through the process very quickly. The cases down there last generally about 45 to 90 days, not much longer than that. Again, the process is to move you through the case. You're going to have that initial appearance and then a status conference. You might have two status conferences before your case resolves. How does your case resolve? Well, it could be dismissed by the county attorney's office. There are some cases that are eligible for diversion, so you could enter into a diversion agreement and suspend your case that way. Or you could enter a change of plea, and then you'll go off to sentencing. Okay? The other way a case can get brought against you is a grand jury indictment. A lot of people are very familiar with grand jury indictments. That's what's used in TV. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, I've been indicted by the grand jury. That's much, much worse. Realize that it's not really worse or better than a summons and a preliminary hearing. It's just a different vehicle for the state of Arizona to bring a case against you. So if you are indicted and that's what you get in the mail, it says that you've been indicted and you're summoned to appear, you're going to have your not guilty arraignment. That's going to be your first court date. All of these take place over in the South Court Tower on the third floor in Maricopa County. The purpose of this hearing is only to enter a not guilty plea. They want you to show up so that they can read you the charges that have been levied against you. They're going to give you possible range of sentences. They're going to tell you all of your constitutional rights, and then they're going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. You can't do anything but entering a not guilty plea at these proceedings. And then the judge is going to give you your next two court dates. That's going to be your initial pretrial conference and your comprehensive pretrial conference. What happens then is that your case is going to get transferred to a different courtroom. Some cases stay in the South Court Tower. Some of them move over to the Central Court building, all of which is downtown. They're connected, the two buildings, with the Sky Bridge. But it's just which judge and which commissioner is going to be assigned to your case. So your initial pretrial conference is about 40 days after your not guilty arraignment. This whole process can last anywhere from 3 to 9 months. That 40-day period between then and your initial pretrial conference, what's going to happen then is if you have an attorney already, then your attorney is going to start working on getting any police reports or any other discovery that's available. If you don't have an attorney, this is your chance to go out and hire an attorney. Or if an attorney's gotten appointed for you, in that 40 days, you're going to figure out who your attorney is. At the initial pretrial conference, the judge is going to ask the attorneys a couple different things. They're going to ask if the 15.1 has been filed and the 15.2 has been filed. 15.1 and 15.2 are just discovery notifications. The judge wants to make sure that the case is moving along. Has the state submitted the initial discovery that's available, and then has the defense filed their request for discovery? Have they filed their notice of defenses? If both of those things have been filed, the judge is going to say, okay. If not, the judge generally gives a certain time period in which the attorneys can file those notices. The judge is also going to ask if a plea offer has been made, and the judge is lastly going to ask if there's any discovery issues that are available. If your attorney knows that there is surveillance videos or something else that's out there and has requested that of the prosecutor, and the prosecutor hasn't responded, now's the time to say, hey, judge, we do know that there's a surveillance video or whatever the piece of evidence may be. We want to be able to get that from the prosecutor, and the judge can say, okay, you have 10 days to get that over to defense and hold a discovery hearing. And if they don't get it to you, then the prosecutor can suffer sanctions by not being able to disclose the discovery. All right. The next court date you have is the comprehensive pretrial conference. That again is another check-in. It's a time for the judge to say, how are we proceeding with the case? Is there anything that you need from me to move forward? At that point in time, the judge can affirm the dates, will affirm your trial management conference date and your trial date. In between those dates, though, oftentimes you'll have a settlement conference. A settlement conference is a chance for you to try and settle your case. What happens is in all of these other court settings, there's generally a lot of other people set at the same time your case is set. At a settlement conference, you're the only one on the calendar. So your attorney and the prosecutor, they're going to go into the back and just discuss some factors about your case with the judge so that the judge has a good idea about what's going on so they can be of assistance in helping settle the cases. And then everybody's going to come back out. They're going to talk about the case. That's your chance to ask the prosecutor any questions that you might have. It's a chance for the defense to urge for something that they've been looking for. Though that's really your chance in order to get any questions or anything else that you have out in the open and ask those questions. Okay. If the case doesn't resolve, you're going to move towards your final trial management conference. That's generally about a week before your trial date. At that final trial management conference, the judge is doing a final check-in. Is there anything else that's needed? Are we ready to proceed with trial in a week? Again, generally it's a week to 10 days later is going to be your trial date. If there are no other issues, there's nothing else that's going to happen, then you're going to get set for trial. With trial, all trials in Maricopa County go to the South Court Tower, courtroom 5B. You're going to go in there for trial assignment. What happens is all the cases that are set for trial that day, go in there and say, what judge am I going to be assigned to have my trial today? And then they're going to get assigned. Not all trials are going to go that day. Some of them may have to get bumped. And there are certain timelines that the judges look at in order to say what cases have to be heard first. At any time throughout this process, the prosecutor's office can dismiss the case. Right? Or you could enter a change of plea. If there has been a plea offer made and it's acceptable to you, and upon the advice of your attorney, you believe that you want to accept that plea, you can come down and do a change of plea. If that happens then you're going to go to a sentencing. Sentencings are always about 30 days after your change of plea. All right? The only other time you get to sentencing is if you go to trial and you're found guilty. At trial, there's two options. Well, technically three. I guess the prosecutor could dismiss the case during the trial. But generally speaking, once you've come that far, a dismissal is not something that's going to happen. You're going to go to trial, and you're either going to be found guilty or you're going to be found not guilty. If you're found guilty, you go to sentencing. Again, that happens about 30 days after the guilt is found or the change of plea is made. Again, this is just the process for how a case is going to flow through Maricopa County Superior Court anytime that you're charged with a felony. If you have any more questions or you want to talk about this further, you've been charged with a felony, give our office a call. We're happy to help.